I'm happy to call on Mr. Ed Hodges to come and bring us greetings and some news from Trinity Center and to make a wonderful and important introduction. Please welcome Ed Hodges, who's the chair of the Board of Managers.
Thank you, Bishop, and it's good to be here. You have a report from me that was written in January, but it's by this time, a lot has happened at Trinity since that report was written. We've done a lot to the physical plant, and we've hired a new executive director. We've been without an executive director for 2 years. The first year, Mary Beth Bradbury and Stephanie Rudolph served as co-interim directors. Last summer, Stephanie's career took her in a different direction, and Mary Beth has served as interim executive director for an entire year. I cannot thank her enough. The diocese owes her a great thank you, and for all of her hard work. She's exceptional, and please stand up, Mary Beth. As I'm sure many of you are aware, Trinity Center has long been in desperate need of extensive repair and paint to our buildings. The money that was raised with the Journey Through East Carolina was the only reason that this much deferred project has finally begun. We are pleased to report that the exterior repair and painting of the East Housing Cluster, the West Housing Cluster, the Beach House have been completed and paid for in full with money from the Journey. In a few minutes, I have a slideshow, but I will note in those pictures that the Beach House had much more extensive damage and rotting than we originally thought was there. We are so grateful that we took care of this before it got any worse than it was. All these buildings look amazing, and we're so excited about the results. The Journey Through East Carolina funds have also paid for a much-needed facelift for the executive director's condo. This condominium had not been updated in over 15 years, and we are thankful to have our new executive director start fresh in this space. Although work on the Lagoon cluster has not begun, it will be done during the fall and winter. Thank you, Diocese of East Carolina. We are so grateful for your continued support. And now if we can go to the PowerPoint. If I can, okay. That's not in the same order I have it, okay. You see the, all right, here we go, all right. The first, let's go to the next slide. All right, this is the West Housing Cluster. You can see the before and after pictures of the painting and repair work to the deck and the siding to the buildings in the West Housing Cluster. The next slide also is the West Housing Cluster, how much better they look. Then we move to the East Housing Cluster, before and after pictures. Those of you that have been there a year or so ago know how bad things look, and it's just amazing. And also let me say that Mary Beth supervised all of this. All right, I think there's another picture of the East Housing Cluster, and maybe even a third. Just notice how fresh and how clean everything looks. And then we get to the Morgan Beach House. And you can see the extensive repair work that needed to be done. When the siding was pulled away, there was rot all on the inside. And you see the before and then the after. And we were so glad that we were able to get this before it got any worse. All right, then if you'll go to the next slide and leave it there for just a minute, I want to take just a few minutes to introduce our new executive director at Trinity Center, John Koch. He is coming, come up, John. He is coming to us from from the Bishop's Ranch Camp and Conference Facility in California. He's made a cross-country trip, just gotten to Eastern North Carolina, and he is taking over on June the 13th as the Executive Director of Trinity Center. So, John, welcome.
Thanks so much. Thank you so much. It's great to be back in North Carolina, and I am particularly happy to be in the Diocese of East Carolina. You have a great treasure in Trinity Center, and keeping with our baptismal covenant, I promise, with God's help, to carefully and lovingly steward that great diocesan resource that is yours. So thank you for having me here.
I just wanted to say that we spent months developing a job description and all the things necessary for hiring a new executive director. We had excellent applicants, but throughout the whole process, John just kept coming up, you know, as we would talk to different people who were excellent candidates. Everybody would say, but I still like John, you know. And so that's who we ended up with, and we are very proud to have him, and thank you very much. That's what I have to say for Trinity Center.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ed, and through you to all of the members of the Board of Managers. I don't know that there's a single member of the board that signed on for the work they've had, knowing it was waiting for them. And so I'm grateful to you and to all of them. St. Philip Southport right here. John's got a home in Southport, in case you didn't know. I want to add a little bit to that presentation, wearing a hat that you can't see, but as your bishop, you've given me many hats, none of them even miters. This one as the chair of the Board of Trustees of the diocese. I live with that one for as long as I'm bishop, and I serve as a member of the Board of Trustees with 4 other members of the diocese who rotate through. Once the decision was made from the Executive Council level that there was going to be a parcel of land at Trinity Center that would be put up for sale, it was the responsibility of the Board of Trustees, to the trustees of the diocese, to shepherd that process through. I would have loved, as chair of the Board of Trustees, to have come to you and said, the deal is done. But as with many real estate decisions, there are always other things that have to happen. And so it's still a little bit further down the road. And I asked our chancellor, who serves as a resource to the trustees, to kick me or something if I started to go too far in revealing information. But I can say we've got a great deal on the table, a deal that the trustees have been happy with for a long time. What we're working through now is largely the process of completing a transaction of this size. Along the way, the Board of Managers approached the diocese to say, hey, we've been doing a lot of good work with the money that was raised through Journey through East Carolina, but if we had this much more, and that might look like a little bit, maybe I should go like that, but it's a good number. If we had this much more, we could complete all of the deferred maintenance. And so the trustees made the decision to support that. And from the proceeds of the sale of property, the money will go to Trinity Center to finish all of the deferred maintenance that's been there for, in some cases, a long time. I think the lagoon has needed work since I've been bishop. I've heard there's holes in the floor and places one ought not to walk, but I don't know that for sure. So that's going to happen, and the proceeds after that will involve repaying the money borrowed from the diocese during COVID when there was no income for the place, and the balance, a large amount, will go into an endowment. It's not a restricted endowment. It can be used, but it's all to be used, income or otherwise, in support of Trinity Center and its work and ministry. And it's going to be named, as I think the trustees have established, in honor of Alice Hoffman, who gave the gift of the land and property to Trinity Center in the first place. So this has been an example, quietly and behind the scenes, of staff at Trinity Center, Board of Managers at Trinity Center, Executive Council, and trustees all working together to accomplish a piece of work that none of us could have done before, but which I think all of us are a little bit proud we've managed to accomplish together. So thank you all, as Ed offered, thank you all for the support you've offered in so many ways. to Trinity Center and its ministry. Thank you.